I want to talk about the only way to stay clutter-free. And I was actually thinking about this the other day about the different types of clutter that we have and why we have it. So I was at my friend's house. I told you last week that I helped them to declutter a little bit of their kitchen while I was visiting, and it just really helped to reinstate this thought of, like, how do we end up with clutter? How is it that some people think that it's so difficult to get rid of clutter while other people have no issue with it at all, right? And I really think that it boils down to two things. And without addressing these two things, you're never going to be able to maintain and stay clutter-free, even if you manage to get all the clutter out initially, right? So a lot of times we can do the thing where we spend an entire spring break or something decluttering. We spend a whole week, we declutter, we get the garage decluttered, maybe have a big garage sale, and all of our stuff is pretty much decluttered for a while. But then it changes and it always comes back, and we can't seem to understand, why doesn't this last? Why does this rebound clutter keep happening? And so it's interesting to me how some people are able to declutter and maintain it, and some people are not, and they can't seem to understand why it doesn't stick. So here's how my nerdy brain broke it down in my head, right? We have clutter for two different reasons. One reason is that we have too much stuff. And the other reason is that we're not putting away the stuff that we have. So maybe it's stuff that we still need or still want to use, but we're allowing it to tumble out into visual clutter because there's not really a system or organization for it, and it's just left out. So let's start with just having too much stuff. Why do some people have too much stuff? What causes that? Well, one thing that causes it is beliefs. We believe that we might need something in the future, so it's better to hold on to it, better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. We believe that it's wasteful to get rid of something that seems to work perfectly fine, at least most of the time. We believe that it's wrong to give away a gift that somebody gave us that we're not necessarily going to use and don't really like, but it was a gift, and so we feel guilted and obligated. And so we have this tied belief to it that it's kind of mean to get rid of something that somebody gave you or to re-gift. Or maybe we have a belief that more really is better. I mean, having more stuff means that I obviously have more money to be able to buy this stuff, and I'm more prepared. And when people come over here, if they need something, then I've got it. They're going to regret not having it, but they're going to have it whenever they come to my place, so I'm more prepared. All of these different beliefs lead us to holding on to more stuff than maybe we need to, and lead us to having an excess of belongings. Even when it comes to furniture. I mean, I know people who have like 2 sets of furniture in their living room, and it's not because they think that it looks nice. It's because they have this belief that, oh, furniture is really valuable. So it's valuable that I hold this in my living room and that I not give it away to somebody else or try to sell it, because the quality of this thing or the waste that would be involved if I were to get rid of this thing is just too much, according to my beliefs. And then we have habits, shopping habits. How you tend to operate whenever you're in the grocery store, and which extra aisles you tend to go by, and how much resistance and self-restraint you have when you or one of your kids tosses extra objects and things that you don't need into the cart. What are your habits when it comes to maintaining and managing your stuff? Do you have a habit of regularly going through and evaluating whether or not you need something? Do you have some kind of habit for managing, donating, recycling the items that you're not using? Or do you have a habit of shoving them in the good old trusty closet in the hallway? So all of these habits obviously are going to lead to you holding on to more things and your space ending up more cluttered. So really, more than not having the right decluttering strategy or checklist, it really all comes down to our beliefs and our habits when we have too much stuff. So what about when we have an issue with not putting things away? So this is those things, again, that aren't clutter. They are things that we need, at least. Maybe they're visual clutter because they're sitting out, but it's not stuff that we would necessarily want to donate or discard. What is it that causes this chronic lack of putting away? This visual clutter that's constantly being shoved in and jumbled in different places and no real structure. I would say that the first reason is beliefs. Because probably the first thing that you're going to hear from most of these people is, I'm just not naturally organized. It's not in my nature, therefore I don't try. Another thing that I get a lot is, it's not possible with my family situation. I have 3 kids. There's no way that they're going to be putting things back. Even when I tell them to, they just don't do it. My husband leaves stuff out all the time. There's nothing I can do about that. So it's pointless for me to even worry about putting things away. So we just leave it. We don't worry about it. So all of these different beliefs of what is possible for me and for my family situation, when in fact, a lot of times when you take the time to have a family discussion, put in a little bit of structure, establish some boundaries and ground rules, like there are ways to move forward even with people who currently aren't living that way. Like it is possible to take some steps, but it's not possible with the belief of it's not possible. We even have beliefs about the beliefs. I remember, my mom always says when somebody organizes something for her, she can't find anything. She hates it when somebody comes and rearranges and organizes her stuff for her because then she can't find the thing that she's looking for. She said that my entire life, whether it was me organizing stuff for her or if we had a housekeeper coming in to help her keep things tidy, her biggest complaint was always, well, now I can't find anything. So some people have the belief that they operate better in the chaos than they do in the organization. A lot of artistic people say that they need the messiness to inspire their artistic creations and that they create better and operate better in the messiness. So there are a lot of different belief patterns that go along with us keeping a visually cluttered space. I will say though that a lot of the people who say that they operate better in a cluttered space or that they don't know where things are when a space is organized are the same people who tend to order multiple replacements for things because they can't find them. And then of course, the most obvious reason that we tend to not put things away is out of habit. We have a habit of not walking back to the drawer where you grabbed something and setting it there, but instead setting it right next to the bed where you're sitting or right on the countertop where you used it and then going on about your business. Those actions are very much ingrained habits and you can train yourself either way. You can also untrain yourself and change your habits either way because our habits are like this automation program for our brain and our body follows that. So if you have these habits of when I use something, I set it right here. Or when I need some medicine, I go and I jumble through the medicine drawer. And that's how I do it. That's my habit. Obviously, whenever we have habits or patterns, I guess you could say, of not putting things away or of leaving things or of, creating jumbled drawers full of things or cabinets shoved with random things, those are because of habits. We haven't untrained ourselves the habit of doing that or retrained ourselves the habit of having homes for things. So that's interesting. Both of these things, having too much stuff causing your cluttered home or not putting things away causing your cluttered home, all seem to come down to the same reasons. So my point is, the only way to really stay clutter-free, even if you've gotten all of the clutter out. Like I said before, maybe you've gone through the work, maybe you've recently gone through a haul or hired help and you got the clutter out. The only way to stay clutter-free is going to be to address your beliefs and to address your habits and make sure both of those are aligned with having a clutter-free space. Now, I know that this is the type of topic that tends to inspire a lot of sharing and conversation, so feel free to do that down in the comments. I expect that we're probably going to see some struggles that people can definitely relate to, or with struggles with their family members who they see going through the same thing. So feel free to just share away if you have anything that you'd like to share on this subject, and I will catch you next week. If you are new here, then welcome. My name is Danielle, and I chat all about holistic and clutter-free spaces. So if that's something you're into, be sure to click subscribe and turn on those notifications. I release new videos every Tuesday.